this channel. In this video, we will have our discussion on a very esoteric aspect of the 8th house. So now friends, I am very much sure that you must have some connection or some influence of the 8th house in your life. That is the only reason you are watching this video. Now you might have your moon to be placed in the 8th house, 10th house lord in the 8th house, ascendant lord in the 8th house, or you might be going through the dasha or the time period of the 8th house lord planet. So now friends, when we talk about the general aspect of the 8th house, so definitely we all know about that. 8th house tells about our longevity, concerns of the inheritance, taxes, investments, our sensitivity towards the ecosystem, our sensitivity towards the intangible, other aspects or dimensions of the existence and all of that. But over and above that friends, you cannot overlook this fact that 8th house is also the water house, and in our astrological chart there are 3 water houses or the moksha houses: 4th house, 8th house, 12th house. So now friends, when we talk about the 4th house definitely tells about your inner emotional state. Now the distinctive aspect of the 4th house is that it is a very private house. So whatsoever is happening in the areas of the 4th house, somehow we always keeps it locked from the outside world. When we talk about the 12th house, now 12th house is something which definitely is the actual house of other dimensions, other planes of existence. That is the only reason friends, when we talk about all those elevated spiritual beings and all these saints. Now you must have heard this term a lot many times from the astrologers, that astrology does not work on the saints, on the yogis. Now why is it that? Because their existence, their psychological, mental, spiritual state tend to remain very much devoid of any other material level influence, but definitely they remain very much receptive towards the other planes of existence. So that could be the aspect or attached signification of the 12th house. But friends, when we talk about the 8th house, so it's not only that we share our resources within the partnership or any of the concerns of the joint resources, but 8th house also plays a very pivotal role in giving us this idea or information about the exchange of energy, exchange of the vibrations with other people in our environment. Now friends, now this exchange of energy could take place intentionally or unintentionally as well, consciously or subconsciously as well. But trust me, the moment we will get deeper into the discussion and we will start placing all the planets over here, you will definitely find a resonance of that if in your case your important planets are going to be placed over here. And also friends, like the way I always say this thing, it is a learning platform. We all are learning from each other. Trust me, when we talk about the general aspect or general signification or result of the planetary presence in the 8th house, you must have read that in all different books. Even I have read that in books and I have been applying that in all of my readings as well. But over here, I just wanted to get into the esoteric or the mystical side of the 8th house and its contribution which can be experienced if a planet is going to be placed over here. Because friends, I will be very honest with you. When we talk about our own vibe, when we talk about our energies, so definitely friends, like first house is something which tells about whenever someone looks at you, what kind of impression do people get. But first house has more to do with your appearance. But trust me, what I have seen in my research is that when we talk about the way the universal law works, in a way that the law of attraction works, so definitely that works more on the energies on the plane of the 5th house. Like the way we say this thing, that someone is going to have a very resentful personality and he always keep on getting into very distorted kind of circumstances. And you will also keep on coming across all those people who are very grateful, who are very happy-go-lucky, and this is the kind of energy they emanate, and these are the kind of circumstances or people which they attract in their life. Trust me friends, I still remember there was this movie which I watched couple of years back. It was made on the life of one of the Indian actor, Sanjay Dutt, and where the actor has used this one line. The actor who was playing the character of the Sanjay Dutt, that I have 350 girlfriends. I have had 350 girlfriends. Now this might come across to you as a very, like, depending on your culture and the part of the world you live in, because in some orthodox and traditional community this is a very, like, very grandiose, very humongous number. But if you talk about some western country where it is actually a part of the lifestyle, keep on meeting new people, becoming friendly with new people, getting into relationship with people. So trust me friends, like, if you will get into the finer nuances or the aspect of someone's chart, you will definitely find some sort of say coming out from the fifth house, that the person emanate this kind of energy, that he attract all these kind of relationships very easily in his life. Trust me, when I first came to Canada, so like, there was this guy, and when guys talk and all of that, so this guy was talking like this only. So initially I thought he's just bluffing, he's just being very boastful. How can you have so many relationship and all of that? I was very new to Canada, and trust me, because he was my roommate, and sooner and later I got to know that it's like, you talk about his luck, you talk about his energy, and he was not that good looking, not he was very smooth talker, but he keep on attracting relationship in his life. And when I got a chance to look at his chart, his fifth house was giving me all of that information. I majorly was getting that information from the fifth house. Same way friends, like, if I were to share my own life, so my energy, my aura is all about healing. So trust me, if someone is actually going to be very out of the way interested in talking to me, so I'm not gonna get the first impression that it's something very physical or intimate or attraction. I know it has something to do with the spiritual lines, something to do on the platonic lines, or the person might be going through some concern. You would not believe, even before when I got into astrology and all of that, I still remember that time I was in my graduation days only. I was standing there, like, I was at a bus stand waiting for my bus, and I just started into a random talk with a old person, and he just started crying about his some life misery or some problem or something. I just out of the blue advised him, why don't you start reciting Mahamrityunjaya mantra? He said, can you give me that in writing? I'm actually taking out my bag, and from my backpack I'm taking a notebook and tearing the page and writing it down and giving it to him. So it's like, this is what my vibe is. So when I say, or when you have to see someone's vibe, someone's energy, that is the area of the fifth house, or in a way first house. But trust me, when we talk about the exchange of energies which takes place on a very subconscious level, unconsciously, that we get to know from the planetary presence in the 8th house. Trust me friends, you must have experienced that a lot many times. Like, let's say for example, if you are like very deeply involved in specific thing in the life, this could be any belief, this could be any cause, any particular hobby, any faith of yours. Trust me, if you will find the person who is on the same path with the same aligned interest, and the moment that person is going to come in your circle of influence or in the same room, like, I'm not talking about that you already know about that guy, it's like you are a complete stranger. So definitely you will find that degree and sense of resonance or chemistry, that okay, when I saw you, I was also getting this vibe that you must be following the same thing. So this is the kind of exchange of energies which takes place from the 8th house. So friends, one last time, I also want to make it very clear that before we will start shifting our discussion to the customized aspect, to understanding the mystical or esoteric aspect of all the planetary presence in the 8th house, I want to make this thing very clear. Here I'm not gonna talk about the general results, like being Mars placed over here can actually make you prone towards accidents, Saturn being present over here can make you a very good occultist. Here I'm just gonna be talking about the way your energies exchange or respond to the people within your surrounding environment. So okay friends, let's just start with let's place the Venus first over here. Now friends, when we talk about Venus, see, you have to understand this thing very clearly, that Venus represents passion, love, romance, intimacy in our life. Trust me, it's the Venus only because of which the life has got some reason to be interested in, because Venus actually infuses love, nourishment, care in our life. Now friends, like when we talk about Venus's placement in some houses, like visible houses, you place Venus in the first house, you place Venus in the 10th house, you place Venus in the 11th house. This kind of creates an energy where if you will be in an environment where the Venusian element has to communicate with you, it is going to take place in a very visible plane. Like someone who is interested in you, that person will come approach you, or confess his feelings for you. Everything is going to be working on a visible plane. But when we talk about Venus being placed over here in the 8th house, trust me friends, over here I'm not interested in anyone's personality, character or conduct. And that can be good as well. That is a very wrong connotation when people just look at Venus or Mars being placed in the 8th house and they come to this conclusion that the person's character is going to be questionable, which is completely false. Because your character gets determined the way your moon is placed in the chart, and the character can only be formed if your actions are being done in the similar direction. So we have to see the 10th house lord as well. But over here friends, many times I have seen so many cases where all those girls who actually remain very much vulnerable towards being stalked by a very a stalker, or they keep on attracting all those kind of energies where people who have got some sort of repressed emotions or passion or feelings for them, and they actually surprise them or bombarded them with those bottled up feelings for them. So that is how the energies work. If you will find that if your Venus is going to be placed in the 8th house, because friends, try to understand this thing, that you do not only behave or you do not only get results on the basis of your planetary alignments. The universe or the people in your surrounding environment are also the embodiment of energies, and they respond to you accordingly, and they respond to you specifically on the areas where those representing energies are placed in your chart. So that is the only reason friends, like I've seen so many cases where for example, if a person is going through midlife crisis or something like that, and that person is going through all sort of problems and something, and suddenly if another a girl joins a office and she has Venus placed in the 8th house, is going to invoke the passion and the feelings from this person who's already going through some sort of problem. Now this person has to understand that this is not love, this is not infatuation, this is not attraction. Your problem is to get a right set of spiritual guidance, some sort of therapy, some sort of connection with the nature, but just because this is how the energies respond with each other. And trust me friends, I still remember when I was in India, there was this one girl who once came to me for consultation, and she was very much fearful for getting into marriage. Her family was forcing her for marriage, and when I asked her the reason, she said that I had some very bad traumatic experience where I was assaulted, and the lane, that dark lane where I got assaulted, I am still scared of going there or even taking that route. And in her case as well, her Venus was placed in the 8th house and it was under tremendous affliction, like Saturn aspect and Mars's aspect. But over and above that, this is what the energies, and this is how the energies respond. If your Venus is going to be placed in the visible houses, then definitely the energies might be very upfront towards you. But when we talk about Venus being placed in the 8th house, in those kind of circumstances, this is how, in a very esoteric way, the energies of other people respond or react to you in any given situation. Now friends, with that said, trust me, with this kind of alignment, we have seen the charts of like celebrities and Hollywood successful celebrities as well. Because friends, when we talk about the collective consciousness or the collective feelings as well, somehow over there as well, 8th house also plays a very pivotal role. So all these celebrities like Marilyn Monroe, in her case, she has got a very accentuated life with a strong prominence of the 8th house, and her whole public persona and image was that invoking that feelings of romance and passion out of people. So it can work in so many different ways, but trust me, the esoteric aspect is that if you're going to have Venus in the 8th house and you have faced something of the similar lines, please share your experience in the comment section of this video. Now friends, moving ahead. Now let's say for example, if you will find Mars to be placed in the 8th house. Now friends, this is a little bit sensitive alignment. Now again, here I'm not gonna talk about the general results like Mars in the 8th house. You might get the paternal property, inheritance and all of that. We all know that. I'm not gonna talk about that. But friends, many times what happens is that I've seen so many people with a strong Mars in the 8th house. and if they go or they try to adjust in any new circumstances or environment or in a group or in a community, many times the people who are already in a position of power, they feel challenged, they feel threatened. So it has happened so many times where people have shared this experience that I do not know what happens to that person. The moment I join their group, they suddenly see or they start seeing me as a threat. So this is how the energies of the Mars in the 8th house respond to the people in your environment. Because friends, when we talk about the unspoken emotions, that is something which remains bottlenecked in the 8th house. So friends, like trust me, even if you will look at the like in the some other parts of the world where people have to remain cautious and aware regarding the pickpocketing and theft and all of that. But if we will talk about in these countries, like if I were to share the Canadian experience, over here we do not have those many situations, but many times what happens is that people with the mental health related issues, although in these countries people are very much empathetic, they are very much concerned for their well-being as well, but we have witnessed all those kind of events where someone who had some mental health related issue, some other person, innocent person, was waiting for the bus or the train, and the moment the train was about to come to the platform, to the station, this person actually shoved that person, other person, on the track. So these kind of incidents happen, and trust me friends, if you will, because whenever these kind of incidents happens, so the CCTV footage gets released, the media releases those CCTV footage, and if you will see, a lot many times you will see this pattern that the person who was the accused or who has got this mental health related issue and all of that, he did not do that rapidly or instantaneously. He had some repressed problems and all of that, and there is a energy of a specific person which triggered his situation. So here I'm not talking about that you already had some ill intentions against someone and you planned the attack. Here I'm talking about those random attacks which keeps on happening in the subways, in the trains, in the bus stands. So over there as well friends, there are certain alignments. If you have a Mars which is not very well placed and you are not working in that direction, it might also make you a victim of these kind of circumstances and situation as well, where other people feel threatened because of your energies. The second thing is that these kind of random attacks as well, which can also get provoked. Moving ahead friends, now let's say for example, if you will find the placement of Mercury over here. Now friends, this is a little bit kind of a sensitive alignment, because see, right now I'm not interested that which zodiac sign is going to be placed over here. The original water houses are the 4th house, 8th house, 12th house. Mercury does not do very well in the water signs or in the water houses. 4th house makes someone anxious. 12th house Mercury makes someone very confused, very little bit kind of platonic, spiritual, but not very realistic. And when we talk about the 8th house Mercury, trust me, in the majority of the charts of the people who have got some sort of criminal mindset or a mindset of deception and all of that, Mercury has been found completely afflicted in the 8th house. Now friends, with that said, you might have a Mercury placed in the 8th house. Your personality might not be like that. You might be very researchful, very insightful, very investigative person. But here I'm just talking about the way energies respond. So many times what I have seen over here is that with this kind of alignment, these are the kind of people who tend to remain a very easy prey or prone or vulnerable towards all sort of becoming victim to the Ponzi schemes like telemarketing frauds, credit card frauds, and all of those. So if your Mercury is going to be placed in the 8th house, it is not very well placed. Trust me, I do not know whether in the past you have been scammed, you have been conned or not, but this is the kind of energies which you attract in your life. Now again friends, now let's say for example, if Mercury is going to be dignified over here, other benefic presence is also reinforcing the strength, the positive strength of the Mercury, then this placement can work in your favor as well. But trust me, whenever we talk about the unethical, questionable elements of the society, somehow their attention, their energy will very easily try to reach you, influence you, or harm you. So this can happen in so many ways. So if your Mercury is placed over here in the 8th house, you have to remain at guard, you have to remain very conscious of these kind of energies all around you. Now friends, let's say for example, if you will find like Jupiter to be placed over here, this can be seen as a very good sign. Trust me friends, like when we talk about actually absorbing the wisdom from the air, I have said this thing so many times. You do not have to even actually go and stay in a ashram or go for some sort of pilgrimage. If your Jupiter is well placed, so you can get inspired, you can get those epiphanies, those kind of awakenings and wisdom or realizations from anywhere. I still remember one of the Hindu sage, Dattatreya. So Lord Dattatreya made all different aspect of nature as his guru, as his mentor. Like even he was looking at all the elements of the nature, that how he can be inspired because of them. Like he saw that people throw stones at a tree, and in return the tree gives its fruits to people. So those kind of wisdom you can only derive if you will have a very well placed Jupiter in the 8th house. Now again friends, see, you might have a strong Jupiter in the 9th house, in the 10th house. So 9th house strong Jupiter will ask you that you still have to go to a ashram, you still have to go to a temple. But when we talk about well placed Jupiter in the 8th house, trust me, wisdom, divinity, religion, path of knowledge, self-awareness is something which will happen to you, and you do not have to look for it. Like you will have that precise eye for detail, or you will have that precise way of judging or authenticating the true piece of wisdom, and these are the kind of energies of the people who you will attract in your life. Moving ahead friends, now let's say for example, if you will find Saturn to be placed over here in your 8th house. So definitely friends, the traditional way of looking at this placement is that you might have a very long life, you will have the knowledge of the occult sciences, you might also remain lucky in getting the inheritances and all of that. But over and above that friends, now if you want to understand the way your energies react with the people within your environment, so what I've seen with this placement is that definitely people perceive you as someone who's going to be very hardworking, and these are the kind of energies of other people which you will attract in your life. People who are very hardworking, people who are very disciplined, people who have some sort of purpose in their life. And many times the esoteric aspect of this placement is that now whether you have that healing energy within your personality or not. Now when I say being a healer, you do not only have to be a doctor, you do not even have to be just a Reiki healer or an astrologer. You might have that energy, that aura around you, that when people come to you, they share their problem, their ordeal with you, they feel relieved. So even this is also a sort of a healing as well. So now many times what I've seen is that with this kind of alignment, people by themselves keep on coming to you with their problems. Like they see you as someone who can guide them well, who is very mature, who is very wise, or who might counsel them in the right direction. So this is the kind of energy which you attract, energy of, or this is the kind of energy which you emanate. Like someone who is very focused, very disciplined, someone who's going to be very hardworking. And also friends, here I'm not including all other general aspect, but yes, in a way that when you have to become a symbol of hope and of help to other people, this placement, this is how the energies of Saturn respond or kind of communicate in a very unconscious way within your surrounding environment. Moving ahead friends, now let's say for example, if you will find the placement of Rahu or Ketu in the 8th house. So now friends, I'm going to be taking both of them individually, but one thing which is equally applicable to both of these nodes is that if they are going to be placed in your 8th house, so in a way friends, your energies tend to remain very much vulnerable towards that. If you are in an environment where people have the knowledge of the occult, but they are someone who have got a very credibility related concern and all of that, and they can utilize these energies to harm someone. So like the way we say in India as evil eye influence and all of that, so your energies tend to remain very much prone towards that. So if you have nodes either like Rahu or Ketu, whichsoever is placed in the 8th house, this is one commonly applicable thing where you have to remain at guard. You have to protect your energies. The kind of people you surround yourself with, the kind of people you hang out with, are they kind of people who are very trustable or who are very secretive, deceptive, and they can go to this extent of using these esoteric sciences to harm someone, to put a spell on someone. So all those kind of energy. And I always say this thing, many times I've seen that, when there is a valid proof of some sort of paranormal activity or presence in any specific area. So a wise person will not challenge it. If you have a connection with the God, you will say that my God is protecting me, my Ishta Devta is protecting me, I do not have to worry about that. But deliberately you will not go there, you will not challenge anything when there is a valid proof of some sort of esoteric paranormal activity or influence over there. And if you have this kind of alignment in your chart, the positive aspect is that it can actually make you a very good psychic, a very good healer, a very good medium. But over and above that, if you will go in these kind of areas and you will try to challenge them, so it can actually harm you. So you have to remain very much well protected if you have either of the nodes being placed over here in your 8th house. Now friends, like definitely when we even talk about gaining the knowledge of Tantra, so all those people who have a strong Saturn, Mars or nodes, Rahu or Ketu in the 8th house, they can also become very good tantric as well. They can have the knowledge of all these Tantra Vidya as well, which has nothing to be scared of friends. Trust me, even if you will break down the word mantra. So mantra can be broken down into two words, man and tantra. So the science to fix your mind, the functioning of your mind. So same way friends, it all comes down to the objective and the purpose with which a person is using any divine knowledge. But again, if you have Rahu and Ketu, you have to remain cautious. Now friends, coming exclusively to the Rahu. So now definitely friends, if you're going to have Rahu in the 8th house, many times I have seen is that with this kind of placement, you tend to remain very easily accessible to adjust or accommodate in any new environment, in any foreign influence. That is the only reason friends, in our Vedic astrology, Rahu has been attached as an outcast, and people with a prominent influence of Rahu, they do not pose or find any problem in adjusting to any new environment, foreign culture, foreign environment. So many times what happens is that if you will be put forth in a cosmopolitan environment, so other people can very much relate very easily with you. So this is how the energies of Rahu works, that on an esoteric way, when we talk about the exchange of energies of yours with other external environment, with other people, people can actually relate and connect with you on a very deeper level. But the stuff which we discussed when we were placing the Mercury over here and discussing the results of that, so even this placement can also make you very much vulnerable towards falling prey or becoming a victim of any online scam or fraud or any sort of Ponzi scheme as well. So you have to remain very cautious of that. Now friends, when we talk about Ketu's placement, so now trust me friends, Ketu's placement in the 8th house is a very, very esoteric placement. Now one thing is that definitely when we talk about becoming a successful medium, occultist, spiritually elevated person, Ketu can grant you all of those powers. The second thing is that friends, like it's like in Hindu Sanatan Dharma, so there are so many rituals which we do in order to please our departed souls, our ancestors, so that their blessings will keep on helping us on our path. So many times what happens is that if you are born in a family where your forefathers or your ancestors have not been well taken care of, so any of their problems or discomfort can trouble you in this lifetime as well. So because if you have Ketu in the 8th house, now again friends, over here, try to understand this thing. All these spirits, they are not there to, or they're not trying to harm you. Sometimes they are by themselves in problem and they are looking out for a medium which can help them. So they are not trying to harm you. They are seeing you as a potential medium to convey their discomfort so that you can do those rituals on this human plane which can actually help them and heal them as well. So if you have Ketu in the 8th house, so trust me, you have those potential that you could be a conduit, a medium for those kind of communication with the departed ancestors and the souls. So if you have Ketu in the 8th house or on the 9th house, it becomes very important that basis your faith, basis your religion and all of that, you should always honor your ancestors. Friends, I still remember when I was working on my Hindi channel, so there was this this person. I have had these two esoteric mystical experience. So one was with this guy. So he keep on messaging me, commenting me first on the YouTube videos, then emailing me. So he was from Kolkata, he was from Bengal, West Bengal, and he he once wrote this mail to me that I'm very much into meditation and all of that, and sometimes I can even stay firm in meditation for 7-8 hours in a row, and my body starts getting very heated up, I start sweating, but still I remain very firm in meditation. And he once just wrote this thing in a message, that in a email, that I will try to guide you, I will try to, if you will not respond to my email, I will come in your dreams or something like that. And he mentioned a time, and trust me, that was a time of my afternoon nap or something, and that exact time I woke up like this, like suddenly with this jerk. That was one experience. And the second experience happened with this girl was from Romania, I guess. I forgot the country name. So I heard in this, you are in that state when you are not completely asleep or you're not awake, you're just getting into the sleep. So this girl took my name, and when I got I woke up from the sleep, and the next day I saw in the comment section of one of my video that you did not respond to my voice, I called your name. So yeah, so these are the kind of things which could happen when you have Ketu in the 8th house, that other planes of existence and all of that can actually communicate with you. You become a part of a collective, and people who are already on an accelerated path on that spiritual potential or plane, they might find you a easy medium to communicate with you. Again friends, everything has got a positive connotation of it. It is not gonna harm you in any way, as long as you have strong faith in your gods, in your guru, and your moon. Most importantly, if your moon is well protected. In all these kind of esoteric combinations, unless and until your moon is not in a strengthened state, then you can actually be vulnerable. But if your moon is well protected, well guarded, then you do not have to worry about anything. Moving ahead friends, now let's say for example for the luminaries, because yeah, we have covered all the planets. So now friends, when we talk about from the sun's prospect, sun being placed in the 8th house, which can be seen as a very good sign, because friends, here the on a very unspoken way, in a very esoteric mystical way, the communication is taking place on a very deeper soul level. So trust me, you will definitely attract the energies of very authenticated, very true and very well committed people who might have a very good intentions in store for you. So regarding the exchange of some true friendship, true bond, true chemistry with people, a soul level connection, the placement of sun in the 8th house can be seen as a very good sign. So it is not making you as vulnerable when we discuss the placement of Venus in the 8th house, or Mercury in the 8th house, or Mars in the 8th house. Rather, when we talk about from the sun's perspective, it can actually illuminate. Friends, we say this thing that wheresoever Jupiter goes, it expands. Wheresoever Rahu goes, it explodes. But when we talk about sun, it illuminates. So somehow, if with this kind of alignment, you are driven towards a spiritual, meditative, yogic lifestyle, trust me, lot many siddhis can be attained, and you will actually attract very authentic people on this same path. Lastly friends, when we talk about from the moon's perspective, so definitely friends, moon is a very impressionable planet. So with the moon's placement in the 8th house, trust me, all of the planetary presence and the results which we have discussed, you somehow remain prone towards all of those fruits. Three things which I want to say over here is that if your moon to be placed in the 8th house, try to keep and start valuing water in your life. Now in our ancient books, it has been advised over there that if you have a strong moon in the 8th house, staying and living close to water is going to be very therapeutic for you. So in any way, water becomes very therapeutic, important for you. Second thing is that anything to do with the herbs and the plantation and the greenery and the nature, you should have a very strong connection with any aspect of the nature. Third thing is that friends, you have to guard your energies, because with this kind of presence of moon in the 8th house, see, when we placed Mars, there is one specific aspect of the cosmos of the energy which you remain very much susceptible towards, which you remain very much vulnerable or prone towards. Venus represents one aspect of the energy. Jupiter represents one aspect of energy. If your moon is placed in the 8th house, so it means in a whole day, you keep on absorbing energies from the people or from the environment all around you. So it becomes very important. You might not even realize that if you will expose yourself to all the toxic people, negative people, sooner or later you will also end up becoming the same. or let's say for example, if you will always surround yourself towards all the positive, healthy, nurturing, caring, goal driven people, so somehow slowly, gradually you will also become the same, only the pack you hang out with. So it becomes very important the way you guard your energies or the kind of environment you present yourselves to. So again friends, I will say the same thing. I do not know whether you find any resonance, any concrete, substantial material in this video, but definitely whatsoever your experiences have been, please share that in the comment section of this video. It is a learning platform. We all learn from each other. I'm not an expert over here. So this is something friends which I wanted to say as a part of my inputs. For further more updates and notifications on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page. Dhanyawad.